Hey, welcome into the Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's David Wilson sitting in for Wade Neely, who should be rejoining us tomorrow to close out the week after a lengthy but hopefully fun and refreshing vacation. David, thanks for joining us here on this Thursday afternoon.
Thanks for having me, Mo. Good to be back.
Thanks. Good to have you, man. Looking forward to a great show here over the next couple of hours as we talk local, regional, and national sports topics. In the second hour, we will be joined by Ann Kimmel of Penalty Box Radio talking a little hockey, the Stanley Cup final, getting her thoughts on the dominant Panthers. And also, apparently the Predators made a move yesterday, so good time to have Ann on, talk about that as well as they head into their off season with the draft coming up and that kind of thing. What might be on their mind, what might be foremost on their mind here over the next little bit. So excited to chat with Ann Kimmel from Penalty Box Radio here in the second hour. In the next segment, we'll be joined by McGavock High School football coach Fred Burnett. He was among a number of coaches from across the state that were out at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park here recently, taking part in the Tennessee Titans Coaching Diversity Summit. So looking forward to talking to Coach Burnett, seeing what he got out of that, seeing what's going on with the Raiders as they get ready for the 2025 season. We will also be talking some Braves, and actually right now, knock on wood, it's kind of fun to talk about the Braves. We'll also talk some college World Series, some college baseball, other major league stuff, a little Sounds talk. Um, there's a big game in the NBA tonight. We'll talk about that as well. And again, it is Throwback Thursday. We'll be throwing it back to a recent conversation that we had with Adam English, the GM and CEO of the Nashville Sound. So looking forward to revisiting that conversation as well. So again, a lot going on this afternoon over the next couple of hours, and looking forward to getting into all of it. David, how's your Thursday to this point? Are you back out at First Horizon again?
Yeah, I'm back out at First Horizon tonight, on the MLB duties tonight as we celebrate Juneteenth and have a little throwback
Mhm.
Thursday here as the Sounds take on the Iowa Cubs. The Cubs even the series last night. Got a rain delay that was lengthy last night, so the series is 1-1. Iowa won that game last night, 5-4. So the Sounds look to go back ahead in the series tonight.
There we go. Happy Juneteenth to those who observe. Absolutely. Thanks for throwing that in, David. And with that said, let's go ahead and get it rolling. David kind of gave you a little bit of the rundown, but let's give you yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Results across Major League Baseball last night, as Mo mentioned, we were happy campers last night as the Braves shut out the Mets 5-0. Chris Sale, absolutely phenomenal, 8 2/3 of work of shutout ball. I think he had 7 strikeouts last night against the Metropolitans. As once again, the Braves take the series versus the Mets by a final score of 5-0. They'll go for the sweep tonight. Wade's Astros continued their dominant play, remained in first place in the AL West. They were 11-4 victors over the A's last night out in Sacramento. Mentioned it just seconds ago, the Iowa Cubs even the series last night here at First Horizon Park with a 5-4 win over the Nashville Sounds. And WNBA action, Phoenix 83-75 victors over Connecticut.
Major League Baseball tonight at 6:15 down at Truist Park. The Braves go for that sweep against the Mets. You can see it on both the MLB Network and on FanDuel Sports. At 9:05 tonight, the Astros wrap up their series out at West Sacramento against the Athletics. The Sounds, as David mentioned, continue their series at First Horizon Park tonight against the Iowa Cubs. That is a 6:35 first pitch. It is Throwback Thursday at First Horizon as well as it is here. And again, celebrating Juneteenth out at the ballpark. WNBA action this evening at 6 o'clock. Phoenix visits the New York Liberty. At 9 o'clock, Indiana visits the Golden State Valkyries. You can see them both on Amazon Prime, and at 7:30 on ABC. Oklahoma City goes to Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, taking on the Wounded Pacers. Again, that's a 7:30 start, and the Thunder looking to close this thing out with a 3-2 lead heading into tonight's 7:30 tip-off. We'll talk more about that later in the show. But ladies and gentlemen, that concludes your rundown. Your top story brought to you as always by the fine folks at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And it's kind of wild. We got a couple of purple and gold items for you here in our top story. One with a significant larger financial outlay than the others, as the Los Angeles Lakers have been sold, price tag $10 billion with a B. The guy on the hook for that is Mark Walter, who already owns, well, he's the primary owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers, holds financial stakes both in the English Premier League's Chelsea franchise and the WNBA LA Sparks. So, man, Mark Walter sounds like a guy that you want to get to know. But yeah, just dropped $10 billion on purchasing the Lakers, who had been owned for more than 4 decades by the Buss family, Jerry Buss, Jeannie Buss. Jeannie is expected to remain as a member of the NBA's board of governors, which I guess there's one of those from each franchise, and she will continue to hold that role for the Lakers. But man, $10 billion. That's mind-boggling.
Do you think he can spare me $1 million of that? At least I won't complain. I'll just take $1 million. I'll go on my way.
Yeah, you never had to hear from me again. Yeah, goodness gracious. Largest sale of a professional sports franchise in the world. And yeah, it makes sense. The Lakers were purchased by the Buss family by Jerry Buss for $67.5 million back in 1979. The Lakers, the LA Kings of the National Hockey League, and the Forum in Inglewood, where both those teams played, were all involved in that $67.5 million deal. Upon his passing in 2013, that was passed on to his kids, and they have since owned about 2/3 of the Lakers. So Walter got involved with that team back in 2021 and has been a minority owner. He is no longer a minority owner. This eclipses the $6.05 billion that the Celtics sold for earlier this year by about 33%. So again, that's bigger money than I can fathom.
We could even fathom.
David,
yeah,
probably. Yeah. I'm sure, David, you're used to talking about those kind of numbers.
The first thing I thought is obviously when you think of LA, you think about premier free agents and being able to attract that with the money that they can provide. That's only going to go up now because the price tag doesn't mean anything. That owner is probably going to be willing to pay whatever he can to put a winning product out on the floor. And so the Lakers are going to be prominent players as they always been in free agency. It's just, can they attract the right ones?
Well, and again, his involvement with the Dodgers should also kind of tell you what the thought process is going to be as this transition takes place. Lakers Hall of Famer Magic Johnson, who's also involved with the Dodgers along with Walter, had this to say: Laker fans should be ecstatic. A few things I can tell you about Mark: he is driven by winning, excellence, and doing everything the right way. And he will put in the resources needed to win. I can understand why Jeannie sold the team to Mark Walter, because they're just alike. So he certainly
got a lot of money for it.
And she got a lot of money for it. Yeah, like $10 billion. So again, I'm mind blown by that number.
Could you imagine writing that check?
You know, On a sentimental note, I guess, again, Jerry Buss purchasing this team in 1979. I loved the Showtime Lakers with Magic and with James Worthy and Michael Cooper and that bunch. And it just felt like they would always be in that family. But you know, $10 billion will make you do a lot of things, including selling a team, I guess. And Jeannie's still going to be involved in some form, I guess, because again, she is going to retain her seat on the board of governors with the NBA. So still be involved and $10 billion richer. It'll be interesting to see what the impact is, because again, to your point, the Lakers have always been players in the free agent market. They've always been players in terms of being able to swing trades, like Luka Doncic, for instance. The Dodgers have been huge in free agency in Major League Baseball. So everything points to the Lakers continuing to be out front, if not increasing that stature in terms of being able to, attract some of the best players in the game to their place. So it'll be interesting to, just kind of observe how the way they do business changes with this sale to Mark Walter. Meanwhile, a little closer to home, Tennessee Tech has announced the successor to Mark Wilson, who had been their athletics director until about 6 weeks or so ago, I guess. Casey Fox, who had been deputy AD at Montana State, was named in a press conference earlier today as the new athletics director of the Ohio Valley Conference athletics program. Been in athletics for 25 plus years at various programs and colleges, universities across the country, Washington State, Utah, the U.S. Naval Academy, and Eastern Washington, among others, prior to his time at Montana State. Man, that feels like some type of culture shock coming from Montana State to Cookeville, Tennessee. But, he's got some big
A
shoes
little
to
bit of a
fill,
culture
man.
change.
A little bit. He's got some big shoes to fill, because I just felt like Mark did a great job up there, just in terms of upgrading facilities and, upgrading exposure and upgrading the competitive level of the athletic program at Tennessee Tech, just across the board. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Tennessee Tech under their new AD, Casey Fox, who again was introduced earlier today. Over the
My
last
first
year,
question
Tech
will be
won.
very simple.
Hmm.
My first question will be very simple. Which donut shop do you visit first? Ralph's or Big O's?
Uh oh. Coming in with the hard hitting stuff. I like it.
You have to.
I'm sure that they both will be sending boxes over to the offices in the Eblin Arena here in the next bit, wooing and welcoming Casey Fox. Over the last year, Tech won a share of the Big South OVC football championship. Women's basketball advanced to the NCAA's. Second time in the last 3 years. Women's soccer won a third straight OVC regular season championship. They are working on football stadium improvements that are set to be unveiled in 2026. So a lot going on up there, and a lot for him to kind of come in and get his arms around. So it should be interesting to see what that transition looks like, again, from a guy who had been in place for roughly 20 years to the new guy from Montana State, Casey Fox, the new athletics director up at Tennessee Tech. Let's go ahead and take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. It is Throwback Thursday. At the top of the hour, we'll be throwing it back to a recent conversation we had with Nashville Sounds General Manager and Chief Executive Officer Adam English. But in our next segment, it'll be Coach's Corner. We'll be joined by McGavock football coach Fred Burnett. Stick around.
forest at Nashville Zoo. New creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Opening June 20th.
Busy bee, yeah, busy bee. If you need...
Hold on, y'all, hold on. I need to make a call. Hey, this is Brianna with Busy Bee. I'm giving you a call to let you know your technician is on his way.
3-3.
Bee, oh, busy bee. Guys, not yet. Not yet.
Busy bee, oh,
Now
busy
I'm ready,
bee.
guys.
Call 775-7833.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's David Wilson sitting in for Wade Neely, who should be back with us tomorrow as we get into the weekend warm-up edition of this show. Again, I'm Maurice Patton, and we are joined now on Coach's Corner by McGavock High School football coach Fred Burnett. Coach, are you there?
Oh, man. How you doing? I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
We can
I can
now.
hear you.
Yeah, Coach. Appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. You on the move, looks like.
Yes, sir. I am.
How's the summer going?
Man, it's going good, man. We just finished up 7-on-7 Metro Nashville 7-on-7 at Hillsborough on yesterday.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I saw earlier this week, I guess it was, the Tennessee Titans had their Coaching Diversity Summit, and you were part of the contingent out at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park for that. Tell me about that.
Oh, man, it was great. We had an opportunity to get to speak with a lady that works with the NCAA to kind of clarify, to take some things back to our student athletes about the NCAA Eligibility Center, the requirements to be eligible, coming out of high school, the way the transfer rule works as far as the portal goes, just kind of getting information, making sure our students understand, the credit requirements for high school and different things of that nature. Getting a clear understanding of it and having an opportunity to ask questions, because sometimes it can get confusing, when you're explaining to your student athletes that, you have to have a 2.3 core GPA versus the GPA that you may see on your transcript, and, showing them how to arrive at that conclusion and learning how to do their core GPA.
I would imagine with the advent of the transfer portal and obviously with NIL and everything that's going on, recruiting is obviously changing, Coach. How are you seeing that at the high school level in terms of being able to get your guys to the next level?
Well, the transfer portal, again, like you just stated, it has made its way to high school. I think students are just willing to go with not understanding the process of it. I think they see it as, college. They're just going somewhere and thinking that they're automatically gonna be able to play and not having a full understanding of the requirements to do those things. I think it's a matter of it's going to help some schools, and it may be an instance where it hurts others. And it's sometimes you can have great relationships with kids and they still choose to, move on because they feel like, they're making a better decision, is what they may call it. And it's tough. It's tough. It's something that high school coaches, we have to figure out a way. Being that this is the first year that it's going to be, something that we have to work against, but we have to figure out a way to make sure our students constantly are willing to come back from year to year.
And you hear a lot of college coaches talk about having to re-recruit kids from year to year, and to the point that you're just making, you're kind of seeing that at the high school level as well. It's got to be a little tough, I guess.
Yes, it is. It is. Because you never know when, you get a text message from a kid and you don't know if it's saying, Coach, I need you to come. I need a ride to practice, or if you're going to get a message and say, I'm not coming back, I'm going to this school. Sometimes you may not even get a message. The students they'll just go to another school, and hopefully you have a relationship with some of the other coaches, and they can call you and say, hey, Coach, this kid just arrived at my school. What can you tell me about him? Or, what did he do for you last year? And you can have that conversation with that coach.
Coach, you kind of mentioned you guys off of 7-7. My bad, Mo. This summer, just kind of talk
go
about
ahead.
the team. Obviously, we're always looking forward to the fall and getting football back started. What do you think about your team this upcoming fall?
I'm looking forward to it. We have a good group coming back. I have a young group that's really excited about getting out there and having an opportunity to start and be the guy that's in front, that's dependent on. Have some good offensive linemen coming back this year. I have Xavier Johnson. Xavier's about 6'4", 288 pounds. I have another kid, Alan Gonzalez. He's about 6'4", 300 pounds. I have a Jordan Satterfield. Satterfield is my center. He's about 6'1", 270 pounds. So I'll be relying on those guys a lot to kind of get us started in the run game and to protect my quarterback. Mo, I like to throw the ball, playing receiver at TSU, but I try to just coaching going into my 18th year, just trying to find out what works from year to year with the group that I have. I think we'll be more relying on the run this year, and then we'll kind of use it to kind of set up our passing game. The 7-on-7 yesterday was good. It was good for metro schools for us to kind of compete against one another and, kind of be supportive and celebrate one another and see what each team has that we have to go against. The only team in my region, of course, is Antioch. And I'm looking forward to the season because we're in a new region this year. They took the Rutherford County schools out and added Montgomery County. They added Rossview, Clarksville, and West Creek. And they brought Overton back. So it's, it's McGavock, Overton, and Antioch. They are the three metro schools in the 6A region on this side.
Before you hop back in there, Mo, you took the next question from me, Coach. I was gonna talk to you about that new region. Obviously, it's a reclassification year, and as you mentioned, you add the Montgomery County schools with West Creek, with Rossview as well. Just kind of talk to me about the challenge that presents. Obviously, it's a new district, new region for you guys compared to what you played the last couple of years. What kind of challenges does that present for you guys this fall?
So I think it works out for us because when I got the job my first year, Clarksville was on our schedule. So I had an opportunity to play those guys twice. They were my first home game, my home opener. First game as a head coach, we played them and they beat us 21-7 or 21-6, I think, if I recall it right. And then the next year, my second year, we went to Clarksville and beat them with that crew, Demetrius Bell, Marcellus Bass, and those guys. And then Rossview was on my schedule the last 2 years. My third year we went there, they beat us. And then this past year, they came to McGavock and beat us 17-12. We had an opportunity to win it at the end of the game. and had a kid drop a touchdown in the end zone with 5 seconds left to win the game. But those two schools present a powerful run game. They like to line up, shoot. They always have like aggressive linemen. Of course, Coach Shelby, in Clarksville has a wing T system that he runs, and it's pretty successful. And he's been doing for a long time. And Coach Hood, they also have a nice run game that they like to do. They have some big guys up front that we have to contend against. And, Antioch has Mr. Adams at quarterback, and he's always going to be a challenge in the passing game. Overton, we had a good game against them last year. They bring us some new things with Coach Lambert. We're just looking forward to the opportunity to compete. And I tell the guys, one of our goals as a team, we want to finish top in the region, first or second, so we can host a playoff game and see what we got.
Fred Burnett, McGavock football coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today. And Coach, I really could have gone all day without you telling me that this is your 18th year in coaching, because I do remember you from your wide receiver days at Tennessee State when I was covering them, and man, that's been a long time, obviously. But I'm impressed because as you were talking about your team, typically when we have football coaches on with us and they talk about their team and their personnel, the first 3 players that they rip off aren't typically offensive linemen. So kudos to you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man, those guys are I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do. They've been with me since freshman, and I've seen them grow, and they've grown to become the leaders on the team. They're leaders in the weight room. They're leaders on the field as far as practice goes, and I saw a lot of growth from them last year as juniors. So I'm looking forward to see, what they're going to do this year, their senior year. They got some interest for some colleges that's been coming in the spring. So I'm anxious to see how this thing works out for them this year.
Well, it all starts in the trenches, right, Coach? I know you were a receiver, but it all starts in the trenches, right?
Yes, I know. I preach to them. I tell them all the time. I tell my center, say, hey, man, you and the quarterback are the only 2 players that touch the ball every play. We can't start a play without you. And, we can't do anything without the quarterback either handing it off or passing it to somebody else. So I hope they realize how important they are.
Coach, you talked about the Metro 7-on-7 yesterday over at Hillsboro. What is your assessment of Metro Nashville football as a whole? Because I know, the way it's been split up, and most of y'all have to go outside of Metro for your region competition. There, as you just mentioned, you guys are playing into Montgomery County this year, and Metro is kind of split up. I remember when it was 2 districts that were all Metro, but
Mm-hmm.
What are the challenges, as David was mentioning, when you guys have to go out of county and play games that matter, just from the standpoint that maybe resources aren't the same, even as mundane as buses and transportation, that kind of thing? I mean, how tough is it, and how do some of those situations get remedied, do you think?
It becomes a challenge at times. I think Metro Schools has done a great job with supplying us with, of course, the turf fields have been great. We actually had an opportunity with the rain that came on Tuesday. And, the practice fields, may be muddy due to the storms and things of that nature, but having the turf is giving us an opportunity to,
We just lost Coach Burnett momentarily. Hopefully we'll get him back. Mark, you're telling me I'm frozen and we've lost Coach Burnett. Is that right?
He probably just got a phone call, but yeah, you are frozen.
But you can hear me, obviously.
You look good, frozen. You look good though.
Yep.
Got a nice little smoke on your face.
That's a heck of a position to be in, huh? So. Wow.
There you are.
You're good now.
Okay, good. Good. Well, that's half of it. Hopefully, we can get Coach Burnett back. Yeah. He was talking about the turf fields that they've put in across Metro, and obviously, that's a big improvement, a significant outlay. I think they got some help from the Tennessee Titans on that as well. But yeah, that's a big investment into athletics and football in particular in Metro Nashville, and hopefully that can help with a resurgence
Can you hear
across
me, Mark?
Metro Nashville. Yeah, we got you now, Coach. Appreciate you coming back.
Okay.
As you were saying, the turf fields have really been a big deal for y'all just in terms of being able to, reliably practice from day to day. And, I would imagine that is something that really makes your kids feel good that somebody has invested something in them like that.
Yes, it does. And as I was saying, we had an opportunity to get to practice yesterday with the turf, with the rain and everything. Of course, the rain doesn't really affect the turf as much as the grass. So we had an opportunity to kind of prepare for the 7-on-7 on Tuesday. I think, coming to McGavock, 2 weight rooms, we have things that we can use. We just have to maximize um, the things that we have in our weight room. And I think Metro Schools have done a great job trying to make sure that, we are equally competitive with our opponents. Um, the travel part of it, I'm actually working on getting my bus license now, and I have some coaches that I'm asking to get their bus license as well, because it becomes a challenge as far as getting to the games when they're outside the county due to the traffic. Nashville is growing constantly, and it's so many people coming into the city, and having to leave Nashville around 4:30, 5 o'clock to get to games, and it is traffic bumper to bumper on a bus trying to get to a football game. Because I can remember my second year when we went to Clarksville, it was really bad traffic. We had this kickoff. Coach Shelby held kickoff for me, and we started at 7:15 because it was a bad accident on 24, and he held. Luckily we spoke on the phone, and he delayed kickoff due to that, and it worked out for us. But I think Metro has came a long way as far as the equipment, supplying the student athlete with everything that they need to do to be successful. Just going from, starting out at Stratford in 2007, I can remember how things were versus how it is now. And I think we're doing a great job of progressing and moving up to compete against other schools and surrounding counties.
Coach, I'm looking at your schedule, and you mentioned the Adams kid, the quarterback over at Antioch. Y'all meet up with the Bears at your place in week 4 on September 12th. But tell me what is Antioch week like for you? Because Antioch principal Nikisha Burnett,
Yes.
y'all are in the same house.
Yes, sir.
How does that work?
Yeah, she is executive principal at Antioch. It's more me and my wife and I usually we try to we're fine. It's more so my principal that he's came up with this Burnett Bowl that he likes to pub up, Mr. Jackson. So it's competitive, it's fun. We have fun with it. My wife kind of just tease her players, say, all right now, you're playing my husband. Make sure, either y'all let McGavock win or y'all take it easy on them. So it's all fun. It's been something fun to do because I know a lot of the players. I see them when I go visit her at work sometimes. I may run into the guys. They're very respectable kids. They speak to me. We have conversations, and it's been fun. We had shirts made last year, and I think my kids had on shirts that said on the McGavock side it said Dad, and on the Antioch side it said Mom. And we've been having this thing. I think everybody's kind of got involved in this thing because I want to say the school board members have they give out a helmet at the end of the game with the logos on each side, and it's been fun. Of course, coaching with Broom for 8 years, they have been having Broom on the sideline as well. So it's very competitive when we play Antioch. And
What's the wager? What's the wager at home when in a game like that? What's the wager?
No wager. If I win, she's gonna be supportive. If if they
Okay.
win, I'll be upset on Saturday morning watching the film because I'll be usually I'll be kicking myself on a play we should have made, and she'll just say, "We got y'all last night." I'm like, "Yeah." I don't want to say too much about it. It gets frustrating at times, but at the end of the day, we have to make sure, we're doing it for the right reasons and understand, why we're playing the game, and we wish each other the best no matter what. Once the game is over, we like to see them be successful as well.
Coach, you mentioned Arsente Broom, the coach out at Antioch, and it kind of triggered something for me. As you look across Metro Nashville in particular, you played at TSU. Arsente played at TSU. Anthony Brown, the coach at Hillsborough, was a tight end with the Tigers. Eddie Woods was at Cane Ridge for a while. Anthony Law over at Stratford is a TSU alumnus.
Yes, sir.
And I'm afraid I'm probably forgetting somebody, which is why I rarely list things like that. But Ron Lambert was on staff at TSU at one time. Just kind of talk about the TSU influence on Metro Nashville football and how significant that is.
Man, I love it. We, it's a brotherhood that we've, Anthony played with me at TSU. Coach Broom was before us, but, he's taken a lot of us under his wing as far as the Metro coaching thing goes. And, TSU has shown us, we learned a lot just playing at Tennessee State, just having just things you go through and things that you learn in college has prepared us for these moments. We conversate with one another a lot. We're in different little group chats that we may communicate on. We still have a TSU chat that we communicate in, and we celebrate Coach Harris, of course, Shannon that just won, the championship. He was a quarterback. His senior year was my freshman year, and we constantly talk amongst each other and celebrate one another and give each other pointers about different things. We just talked to Eddie yesterday, Coach Broom and I. We stopped by the practice and talked to Eddie and some of the guys up there. I saw some of our former players that were playing. They were having practice in the indoor. And, man, it's a great feeling, to see Big Blue represented on different layers. And for us to, CJ Johnson he coached with me my first 2 years here at McGavock. And then he's going back home to Glencliff to be the offensive coordinator this year, to work with CJ Scott. They were high school teammates. So I spoke with him yesterday as well. They were at the 7-on-7. He's calling the offense for Glencliff. So, yeah, Big Blue is highly represented, and we always make sure we represent TSU to the utmost.
Fred Burnett, McGavock football coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Season opener August 22nd at Maplewood, followed up by a trip to Hunters Lane and Lebanon coming to your place. Nice little schedule, Coach. Wish y'all luck, and we'll be keeping up, and hopefully we can catch up again here at some point. Thanks for taking some time with us today.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, man. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back from this break, we'll talk a little baseball. Stay tuned.
If you want the latest in weather conditions, be sure to tune in to our Busy Bee Plumbing Weather Report each weekday on Mornings on Main Street. Brought to you, of course, by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. We will keep you updated on the latest conditions outside, like severe weather, heat, snow, rain, and even hail.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
June 19th, 1991, highlighted by a bit of Braves on Braves crime, Atlanta's 9-2 win at Philadelphia was a wild one in more ways than one. The visitors led 5-2 through 8 innings on the strength of a 4-run fifth keyed by David Justice's 2-run homer and extended the margin on a Terry Pendleton RBI single. The next batter, Otis Nixon, was hit by a Roger McDowell pitch, retaliation for Nixon's inciting a brawl a couple of weeks earlier when he went to the mound after getting hit by Wally Ritchie on Dale Murphy Appreciation Night in Atlanta. McDowell was ejected, but so was Tom Glavine after half-heartedly throwing 4 straight pitches, all of which missed, at the Phillies' leadoff hitter in the bottom of the 9th, the aforementioned Murphy. Nixon scored on Jeff Blauser's bases-loaded double. Juan Berenguer relieved Glavine and held the host scoreless, and that was the ballgame on this day in Braves history. That may have been the most fun TDIBH that I've come across since we've been doing this portion of this segment. And going back and looking at Glavine's attempts to hit Dale Murphy were his heart was not in that in any way. And apparently the story goes that after McDowell hit Nixon, Bobby Cox told Glavine, "You got to hit the next guy up." Glavine's
that's Dale Murphy.
That's Dale Murphy. Can't I hit the next guy? And Cox supposedly said, "No, you got to hit the next guy up." And each pitch was they were go Google it. It's hilarious. But after the 4th pitch, he was thrown out and he just walked off the mound, walked to the dugout, didn't even fight it. It's pretty amazing. Bobby Cox had Tom Glavine throw at Dale Murphy. And, Glavine apparently heard about it for a pretty good while. Not from Dale, but from Braves fans. It's like, why are you throwing at Dale? And understandably so. It's like, but, got to stick up for your teammates, right, David?
Yeah, you were talking about Braves on Braves crime. Roger McDowell, future to be Braves pitching coach. So just the Braves links in that story. Oh my goodness, a lot
it's
of Braves
pretty
on
wild.
Braves crime.
That's pretty amazing there. And apparently, again, so on Dale Murphy Appreciation Night, Nixon had gotten hit, went out to the mound. There was a big brawl there, but it wasn't enough that he got hit that time. They felt like they had to hit him this time again to make up for that. I don't know how you get hit a second time, and that's retaliation. It's the unwritten rules of baseball, man. Better watch them.
We've seen those shenanigans this week out in LA between the Padres and the Dodgers where Tatis gets hit. So, Ohtani's going to wear one in the side. So, you talked about it, the unwritten rules of baseball. If you hit our guy, your guy's getting hit as well. So,
well, and the exception to that has been typically the Braves. I don't think the Braves have hit enough guys. and I think opposing pitchers have gotten comfortable hitting Braves guys over the last while. It's interesting, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of old school as far as that goes. Anyway, speaking of old school, maybe the Braves are kind of getting back to their old ways. 5-0 last night over the Mets, as we talked about during the rundown. The Braves have won this series after Tuesday's victory. As David said, Chris Sale, remarkable, 8 2/3 innings, 7 strikeouts. And I don't know why the decision was necessarily made to pull him after he gave up that 2-out single to Brandon Nemo. I think I still would have let him roll and see if he could get the shutout, but that's just me. Still, Sale seemed quite pleased and satisfied with the 8 2/3, was very complimentary of Snit for giving him the opportunity to go back out for the 9th. So, when he's rolling like that and he actually gets some offense, I saw where he was 21-0 when getting 3 runs or more. 21-0 with the Braves. I think 122-12 for his career, but 21-0 with the Braves, which is now 22-0. So, when you've got a guy like that, just get him a little something offensively. And kudos to the Braves for actually being able to do so for a change. Acuna started things off with a leadoff home run, and man, it was a bomb. They scored 3 runs in the bottom of the first. Matt Olson added a home run. Ozzie with a double and a triple. Offense clicked, and Chris Sale kind of rendered the bullpen obsolete. Iggy came on and got the final out, but this is what it's supposed to look like, feels like.
Yeah, absolutely. You spoke glowingly about Chris Sale, and I just would have to echo that. I think this was the first time since 2019 that he had pitched into the 9th inning. So he won the Cy Young last year, but it's kind of crazy to think that he didn't pitch into the 9th last year or have a complete game. But, he was phenomenal last night. Obviously, his slider and fastball combination is pretty lethal. But we thought this series could shape up this way. It still feels like, despite the way that they finished the year last year, talking about the Mets, that the Braves kind of have some of this ownership, big brother mentality over the Mets, that it seems like we always find a way to win games against the Mets, as predicted by the other day when with our comeback in the 8th inning. So we knew the series had the opportunity to shape up this way with Schwellenbach and Sale going game 1 and game 2, and now hopefully Spencer Strider can build upon his start against the Rockies and go out there and sweep the leg and bring out the broom and send the Metropolitans back to New York with a 6-game losing streak. Now they've kind of slid. They've kind of slid the last couple days, and the Phillies have overtaken them, I believe, in the NL East standing. So we kind of talked about this the other day, Mo. With the way that the schedule works out for the Braves right now, they had a really opportunity. If they were going to make up ground, the next 2 weeks were going to be that, playing the Mets in a series twice, playing Miami and playing Philadelphia. So it's now or never for the Braves, and if they're going to get back in it, it's going to start over the next week and a half.
This is the time, absolutely. 6:15 tonight, it's Clay Holmes, not to be confused with Grant Holmes, making the start for the Mets. Clay Holmes is 7-3 with a 2.87 ERA, and as you mentioned, Spencer Strider, 1-5 with a 4.35, going for his second win. But again, like you mentioned, looked good against Colorado 2 starts ago. Looked decent out at San Francisco. Took the loss, but it was a quality start. 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. Just again, another case of lack of offense. So this offense has scored 5 runs in each of its games against the Mets, and you'd like to think if they can put up 5 tonight, they got a pretty good shot at the sweep. So we'll see how that one goes. Speaking of New Yorkers, the Yankees snapped a 30-inning scoreless drought with a Jazz Chisholm home run, but they dropped a 3-2 decision to the Los Angeles Angels. Hooray for Ron Washington once again. The first time since 1996 that the Mets and the Yankees have both been on 5-game losing streaks at the same time. You love to see it.
Doesn't hurt my feelings. I saw a weird stat, Mo, and I'm going to look it up while I waste time from Anthony DeComo of MLB.com. I saw him tweet it, so I'm going to go look at it really quick. The current state of New York sports combined, the Yankees, Mets, Knicks, Nets, Islanders, and Giants have lost the last 19 games they've played. Only the Jets and Rangers are coming off wins.
Oof. Oof. That's painful. But you know, that,
We've
I got
experienced a lot of losing on our end already this year, so I'm glad for
yeah,
someone
I
else
got
to
no
take the
sympathy.
burden.
I got no sympathy for him. Things are tough in Baltimore as well as they have been all season. You know, they had a managerial change earlier this year, but they got out to an 8-run lead against Tampa Bay yesterday through 2 innings, led 8-0. Final score: Tampa Bay 12, Baltimore 8. I mean,
Our own Calvin White in attendance at that game. I'm sure he stayed for every pitch of it.
oh yeah, that's cool. Is he
He was
a
there.
Rays fan?
I think he was. I'm on a vacation right now, fan. And I'm just going to go to the nearest ballpark near me.
Okay, good for him. It's always good to get out to the ballpark and the Rays put on a show. Clearly, the Rays, who may be close to reaching a deal to be sold, not for 10 billion, but apparently real estate development in Florida is good. Patrick Zalupski is at the head of a group that may be purchasing the Tampa Bay Rays from principal owner Stu Sternberg for 1.7 billion. A letter of intent has been signed by Zalupski to purchase the Rays. That's not final, but they are clearly pretty far down the road there. The Tampa Bay Rays announced that the team has recently commenced exclusive discussions with a group led by Patrick Zalupski, Bill Cosgrove, Ken Babby, and prominent Tampa Bay investors concerning a possible sale of the team. Neither the Rays nor the group will have further comment during the discussions. Should this transaction become final, the team is expected to stay in the Tampa area, which I feel like is good news. So
Right.
it's going to be interesting to see how things go with the issues that they've had with the ballpark in St. Pete that was ravaged by a hurricane last year and has them playing their games this year at Steinbrenner Field, a spring training / minor league facility. So that'll be something that the new ownership will have to deal with, is where are they going to play? So
Right.
I don't know how long they can continue to play there.
Yeah, really quickly, Mo, before we transition to the next segment, we talk about the Braves and some Braves news. Well, their pitching lab is at it again. They just made a transaction that will go, I best be official tomorrow. Dildier Fuentes will join the Braves tomorrow and start against the Marlins. He is a 20-year-old prospect who has struck out 48 batters over 39 innings pitched this year across 3 different levels. So he's 20 years old. I believe he will be the youngest player in MLB when he makes the start tomorrow and toes the hill for the Braves against the Fish in Miami. But there's some Braves news, and I think it gives everybody an extra turn of rest as they prepare to face the Mets and the Phillies. So 20 years old, making your big league debut tomorrow against the Miami Marlins. That'll be Dildier Fuentes.
That's interesting, man, because the Braves have had some success breaking rookie pitchers through. You go back to Schwellenbach, last year? AJ Smith-Shawver. They've brought some guys up maybe a little bit ahead of time, and they've hit with them. So good luck to Mr. Fuentes. They're kind of giving him a soft landing against the Marlins, so we'll see how that goes.
We need a W. We need a W.
Absolutely. Keep that momentum going. Again, we mentioned during the rundown, the Cubs 5, the Sounds 4, kind of ruining Rick Sweet Bobble Stash night. Unfortunately, you felt like they would get a win under those conditions, but it didn't quite turn out. But they resumed that series at 6:35 tonight, and Logan Henderson is 7-1. He has won his last 7 decisions. He goes for his 8th straight tonight for the Sounds against the I-Cubs. It is Throwback Thursday. They are celebrating Juneteenth out at First Horizon Park, so be sure and get out there for that. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. It's Throwback Thursday here as well, and we will be throwing it back in the next segment to a recent conversation that we had with Adam English, General Manager and Chief Executive Officer of the Nashville Sounds. So be sure and check that out when we come back. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Continue to come to you from First Horizon Park. Adam English's house here. General Manager and Chief Operating Officer of the Nashville Sounds joining us now. And part of the reason we're here is because I was here for a luncheon earlier today with a committee that Adam has put together, and for some reason he decided I needed to be on it. So Adam, tell the people a little bit more about who met and what we met about.
Well, first of all, thanks guys for having me on. It was great. 4 years ago now, when I moved here, Major League Baseball started an African-American fan initiative called the Nine. It's called the Nine because that's the number Jackie Robinson wore in his only year in the minor leagues. And they challenged teams to find unique ways to engage with the African-American communities around them. We're in North Nashville. We sit on the corner of Representative John Lewis and Junior Gilliam Way. And I also knew, being new to Nashville at that time, that I needed some guidance in how to move this program forward. So I started asking around, getting recommendations of great community leaders like Mo, like Harriet Kimbrough Hamilton, and just a huge group of African-American leaders that to help us guide this effort in the right way. And so we got the group together today. It was really exciting to start the meeting off with some really positive news on a community impact project we've been working with Habitat for Humanity on called Parkwood, and the renovating some baseball fields in North Nashville, just a couple miles away from the stadium, place where Mookie Betts played, Golden Tate, Brandon Wright, and Brandon Ingram rather, and so. We've been working on this project for 4 years, and so it was really great. We got some really positive updates. There's a finish line in the not too near future. We'll let the appropriate people announce that when it comes out. But really, just an opportunity to get this group back together, talk about the successes, and then also talk about all the things we're doing coming up in a couple weeks at our next homestand as we celebrate Juneteenth and the 9 weekend. We're honoring Butch McCord. We're giving away a Butch McCord jersey, t-shirt jersey. And just telling our fans his story. Not only was he an amazing, Negro League baseball player, but he was also a Nashville Sounds season ticket holder until 2011 when he passed. And so being able to honor him and tell his story and educate our fans is just a real treat, and we're really looking forward to doing it.
Anybody who spent an extensive amount of time around the Nashville Sounds as a franchise knows Butch McCord and knows the legend that is, Butch McCord. Nashville born, played in the Negro Leagues, and was just an advocate for baseball at every level in this community. And for you all to be able to recognize and honor him during your Juneteenth recognition here in this next home series is just a stroke of genius on y'all's part, but it's very well deserved.
Definitely.
Butch.
Definitely. And I appreciate you saying the kind things about us, but we really are committed to telling the story. I mean, so many of these players played on the side of Sulphur Dell, where this stadium sits, and so many records were lost from that time. So we have great relationships with David Ewing and Skip Nipper and historians and people who can help us appropriately tell these stories. And it's a really fun thing. I said to these guys at lunch, it's an opportunity for me to learn about these people too. Like, just because I sit in my seat here doesn't mean that I know all the history of baseball and the Negro Leagues and all this stuff. So each year when we sit down with our steering committee and talk about who we're going to honor, it's a great opportunity for me to do some reading and learn about the path that these guys were on and the path that they took into during totally unique times in our country as it relates to baseball and people of color.
Adam, let me get you back in here. Adam, as you kind of ran through all that, everything you just said is fascinating. And to me, I'm sitting there like you just said, just because you're here at this park, it's always cool just to get a different perspective or hear a different story, kind of put things in a different lens. And the fact that you guys are not only celebrating that, but kind of actively trying to research and learn and improve and get involved. To me, that's the cool thing and the real selling point of this whole thing.
Yeah, and again, our fans can come out and say, "Oh, it's the 9 weekend. We're gonna introduce some brand new Elite Giants jerseys that our team's gonna wear." There's going to be an auction for we introduced new ones last year. They're white. This year we're introducing a new one, and we're going to auction off the white one. So you can get a game-worn jersey. And a lot of fans might come out to the game going, hey, it's a beautiful day. Let's go out to a Sounds game. And they come in but whether they are coming to the game for that reason or not, they get to learn a little bit about the history of this place, which is really cool.
That's part that you have to kind of thread a needle, right? Because you don't want to just inundate everybody. You're trying to get that entertainment value. You maybe reel them in with a little entertainment, but while you're here, you're getting a great ballpark experience and then obviously learning a whole lot more and hopefully having a greater appreciation when you leave this place.
Absolutely. And again, the giveaway, right? Everybody loves a good giveaway. You want to get the giveaway, and then, hey, let's learn about Butch McCord, right? And so you're not going to be inundated with it all game long, but we're going to tell the story, and we're going to. We've got some great interviews with people that knew him. I mean, one of our interviews is with literally the guy who sat next to him as a Sound season ticket holder. I mean, great stories, yeah. And so just for everybody to give him his flowers and really tell the story, and hopefully people have a greater appreciation for this place and what we do and the entertainment value we bring when they see the history of where we came from.
We're sitting here, Adam, and it is early June, which is kind of mind-blowing to me. Is it mind-blowing to you? And kind of give us your June 4th report card, if you will,
Sure.
for the Sounds, where you guys feel just in terms of getting your legs under you as we kind of are close to the midway mark of the season, as Mose mentioned earlier.
I mean, it is crazy. I mean, I think it's as true as the statement of long days, short years, right?
Mhm.
Like, it's crazy that it's already June. But at the same time, we're hitting our stride. Like, one, from an organization standpoint, we had great. We had an incredible month of May. You know, we battled weather a little bit here and there, but honestly, the bad stuff was when we were on the road. Like, some of those severe storms when we were on the road, thankfully. And so we've had a great start to our season. Our team on the field's fantastic. If there was a way to balance out the schedule and play more teams, I think that we'd probably have a shot to win the first half. We're in second or third place by a half game. The first place team's Lehigh Valley. I'll shout out Jeff Hem, our radio broadcaster. Don't want to take anything away from them. You play who you play, right?
Right.
But they're 41 and 16.
I can't wait to hear where this is going. By the way,
41 and 16. They played 6 games against teams over 500.
Yeah, okay.
So
All right. I had a feeling it might go that direction.
And, hey, look, and I don't want to take it. You play who you play,
Right.
But unfortunately, they don't play us. So and look, that's the part of being in a league with 20 teams, right?
Mhm.
You can't play every team. The travel doesn't allow it. Yeah, you know, Major League Baseball does a great job of putting together our schedule. They brought Scranton Wilkes-Barre, the Rail Riders, down here at the end of May. First time we played a Yankees affiliate in 30 years, and so we're thankful that we can play some new teams and bring some new teams into Nashville, and so that our fans can experience that. But in a team full of 20, you know, AAA is about development. They want to get to the bigs, right? And so it's not all about wins and losses for us, which is why we put so much into the entertainment. But our team's awesome. We have some great young arms, some great talent. Really excited to see more of Jeff Sicaro. If you blinked, you'd have missed him last year.
Yeah,
he got hurt in a half an inning in the first game. But he's back with us. He started last night, batted second, 1 for 5. Really excited to see what he can do. And then we just have some incredible arms. Jason Mizorowski is an electric factory on the mound. There was a day when I wasn't paying attention to the starting lineup, and I was walking out here in the bottom of the first inning, and I just heard a pitch, and I goes, "Oh, Miz is on the mound tonight. That's great."
Yeah.
It just sounds different.
Yeah.
And so many other guys too. Craig Yoho is great. Logan Henderson, when he's not up, he's got an incredible attitude with us. He's gone up there. He's pitched really well for the Brewers. It's a little bit of a numbers game with them right now, and they're hot. You know, I think the Reds beat them yesterday. They beat the Reds today, but before the Reds beat them yesterday, they won 9 in a row.
Right.
So it's an arms race, and you gotta just keep doing your job. And when your time's there, go perform. And that's what our guys are doing. And it's fun to watch this team. I mean, they win a lot, and they've been playing great baseball all year.
To your point, I'm sitting here reading a email from your communications guy, Corey Hilborn. Jacob Mizorowski named Brewers minor league player of the month, pitcher of the month, excuse me. Miz 2-2 with a 2.83 ERA in May, and was named by the Brewers player development staff as the organization's pitcher of the month. 35 strikeouts, opponent's batting average 212. He currently ranks number 3 in the IL in strikeouts. I'm sorry, that was for the month of May. He was 3rd in the league in strikeouts and had the 8th best ERA in the league, again at 2.83. So
he's got great stuff. I mean, when I talk to our coaching staff, they consistently say the same thing about him: is a great kid, great attitude, and he's a big leaguer. And so we're going to enjoy him every single time he gets to walk out on the mound and pitch in front of our great fans here in Nashville. And we'll be cheering for him one day. Hopefully for him soon, where he's up, contributing with the Brewers as well.
For the year, he's got 73 strikeouts, the second most in AAA. And, again, it just kind of speaks to the team that you all have been able to put on the field all year, like you said. It's AAA. Movement happens. I mean, it just comes with the territory. I don't know if there's any more or any less this year than maybe you've seen in previous years here in Nashville, but it seems like they have been pretty high profile. I'm thinking of Daz Cameron in particular.
Daz was great, man. He came here and absolutely lit it on fire. They made a trade for him early in the year. He came here, immediately shot a life of energy into the middle of the lineup for us. there's nothing we love more than cheering a guy on when he's here and then cheering a guy as he continues his journey up with the Brewers. We wish success for all these guys, and Daz has done a great job up in Milwaukee, and ultimately was just such a great guy to have here as well. Brewers do such a good job of identifying talent and developing it.
The first thing I thought about when I heard that Daz had been traded from the Baltimore organization and assigned to Nashville was he's a legacy. And I don't know that there have been very many legacy players in the Sound's history, but I remember Mike Cameron being here as well. And Cammy was a hell of a ball player.
He was.
And so it's no surprise, the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree. Daz just hasn't necessarily been able to get to a place and stick in a starting lineup. But, man, growing up as the son of Mike Cameron certainly puts you a little bit ahead of the game, I would think.
I think it's probably a double-edged sword. It probably puts you a little ahead of the game, and it also puts maybe some unfair expectations on you at times as well. We talk about this all the time across all sports. So much of a lot of players' success is the situation that they're put in, right? What organization, how many people in front of you? I mean, Brewer Hicklin was a perfect example last year. A 20-40 guy for us.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how do you get a 20-40 guy at AAA? Why is he not in the bigs? And it's like, well, there's 4, 5, 6 guys in front of him.
Who you going to move out, right?
Right. And who's got options? And who, like, baseball's such a game, a numbers. When I say a numbers game, for Logan Henderson, for example, right? Like, he's got options. So he can go up and make a start.
And
he can come back, where there's another guy who's out of options who would have to clear waivers and potentially get grabbed by another team. And so some of it's just I would imagine between now and the trade deadline, you're going to see some things shake out to where they expect some guys to move up. But thankfully, people smarter than me get to make those decisions. And I just get to sit back and enjoy the talent.
Adam English, GM and Chief Operating Officer of the Nashville Sounds, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Adam, what are you expecting for the second half of the season here? I don't know that we are necessarily at the halfway point. Sounds 34-23, so that's 57 games?
June 22nd is the end of the first half.
Okay.
So coming up. And so if we don't win the first half, that just means we won't be hosting a 3-game playoff at the end of September. We just have to go win the second half. And so based on the group of guys that we have right now, I mean, anything can change, but I feel great about where our team is. I think that there's only an option for us to continue to win ball games, continue to have fun. We have so many incredible promotions throughout the rest of the year. Like tonight, I mean, we're giving away a very Nashville guitar piggy bank to the first 1,000 fans. Just great stuff all week, great stuff for the next 3 months out here, and we can't wait to see as many fans out here as can possibly get here.
We've talked, and it's not just about winning at this level, obviously. It's about development, and it's about entertainment. How do you guys, as a minor league organization, just continue to come up with, methods to address, the entertainment aspect of this?
The easiest way for me to answer that, Mo, is I try to surround myself with as many talented, creative, amazing people. And then I just try to support them and let them go be awesome. I mean, like I have the best staff in minor league baseball. Every team, I'm sure, says that. I actually mean it. Our people here are just, they can never cease to amaze me. The last Saturday in May that we just played, we had the highest attended game in all of minor league baseball. 10,488 or something, 388, something like that. And part of it was we had, batting gloves where you put your hands like this and it makes our home plate star logo. I'm too far removed from knowing what's cool. I need people around me who are bringing great ideas. And so, we try to connect to the community, stay creative, stay innovative. And we want people to just have as much fun as possible out here. And honestly, it takes every single person on our staff. And I'm constantly amazed by the creativity and the inspiration of the people that I work with every day.
That energy has to come from somewhere, though, and just listening to you talk, I know where it comes from. And people, when they get that energy and they get that go be you and you go create it and that kind of thing, it's amazing what you can do when people feel empowered in a situation like that, I would think.
Appreciate that, Mo.
Adam English.
Hey, speaking of real, I want kind of
Go
along
ahead.
those lines. Shoot me straight, Adam. If you see, how many times a year, I guess a better way to ask this, do you see or hear or catch wind of another franchise's promotion and you say, okay, we're not going to do it exactly that way, but we might cater it? How much? Because I worked in small college athletics and we're stealing from everybody and we're just scaling to what we can do. So I'm curious how many times a year that maybe happens to you.
Well, so it's not really throughout the year that happens, right? Like I will say this. We compete with other minor league baseball teams, right? There's a rankings for attendance. There's who does this, who does that. We're not really competing directly against them. And one of my favorite parts about this industry is best practices sharing. Last year, we all got together in Charlotte, right? 120 teams. And we go to little round tables and everybody shares their best ideas. And there's different topics. So, hey, we saw a lot of success with this, or we saw this. Marketing strategies, everything, right? So, I mean, I think my favorite thing about minor league baseball is ultimately that everyone, it's not even considered stealing ideas. It's just like, no, hey, yeah, this worked great. You guys should try this. And we get calls from people all the time. Hey, how'd you guys do this? We say, hey, here's the blueprint. Go do it in your market. It's great. Not shy about that. I'll never, and I'll always give credit to whoever came up with it too. But yeah, we're going to tweak it. We're going to make it Nashville if we do. But yeah, I mean, that I think it's, high tides raise all ships.
Yeah.
And minor league baseball is the epitome of that.
In
my mind.
What do you feel like has been y'all's most popular thing that X number of teams have grabbed a hold of in some way, shape, or form?
Man, that's a great idea. Or that's a great question, rather. I'm trying to think back. I mean, we've had people ask us about our dental clinic here that we do for community efforts. We've had people ask us about so many of our giveaways and promotions and things. I don't know if I can pick one and say this one, but I'm sure they're out there. Sorry, I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Oh, that's okay.
Along those lines too, Adam, I'm going to pitch you an idea.
Hit me.
Okay. You can workshop this however you want, but the crux is this. Main Street Media employee and their German Shepherd of the game.
Gotcha. All right.
And,
it's oddly specific.
It's
but I
oddly,
respect it.
just saying. I was here last night and I kept glancing at the scoreboard and I'm thinking, okay, surely they're going to drop the Main Street Media German Shepherd of the night for me and Wynn and the wife, but didn't see it. So again, me and you, we could talk about that off air, maybe ease that into the promo, but I feel like it's got a decent ring to it, right?
I mean, in my mind, people would flock to see that video here. They'd see the German Shepherd of the game. They're buying tickets to see the German Shepherd of the game.
I mean, I didn't want to necessarily go that far. I don't have all the calculations, done in my head, the ROI and things of that nature. But Tail Wag last night was fantastic. It always is a great promotion.
Couple hundred dogs out there.
There was a family. I'm talking a family of Bernese Mountain Dogs, like 6 of them, all rolling together. There was a pack of golden retrievers when we were leaving.
That's awesome.
It was fantastic.
Wait,
it's always
didn't you
a great
say
event.
a dog almost made a play at some point?
Yes, and if that's kind of close to the Vanderbilt Health sign out there, or excuse me, kind of that Kroger sign almost. If that ball had traveled about 10 feet further, I swear a golden retriever would have been on Sports Center top 10 because we were close. It was a warning shot tracking about the 7th inning last night. And, yeah, that golden would have snagged it, I'm pretty sure.
That would have been all time.
It would have been an all-timer. The promo would have been worth its weight in gold viral. But fantastic stuff as always, and we try and catch as many as we can every year.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And we love having dogs out here. Tuesdays are always fun, and I love just walking out there and seeing all the different dogs. I mean, Bernese Mountain Dogs are massive. So
they were massive, and it was unique, too, because some folks you could tell that are out there, they don't necessarily have a dog, but maybe they're considering.
Sure.
And so they're kind of just easing around and asking questions. That, to me, was kind of cool, and everybody was friendly, and everybody was having a good time.
That's awesome. When I walked out there, the first time I walked out there, I apologize to your listeners for the noise I'm about to make, but I walked into the dog area and all of a sudden I just heard, and I looked back and it was just like a corgi, just a little scrawny corgi, just breathing hard, having a good time. I was like, what was that noise? I was like, a little guy. All right. But no, it's awesome. And then we've got giveaways on Wednesdays and our Throwback Thursdays with the beer specials. fireworks on Friday. We got another giveaway on Saturday. It's just there's always something out here, and we hope to see people out here.
Real quick, along that line, you were in the Brewskis last night.
Yeah.
Are we seeing the hot chickens and the other? What other jersey or alternate teams, I guess, for lack of a better term, are we seeing this year?
Yeah, so we have a couple of theme night jerseys coming up. We got Margaritaville coming up. That's always one of our most popular dates of the year when we celebrate Margaritaville and Jimmy Buff. We have a band out here, so we're wearing a Margaritaville jersey this year. Hot Chickens Weekend is July 18th, 19th, 20th, coming out of the All-Star break, and it coincides with Hot Chicken Week here in Nashville, or as close to it. And then we have Harry Potter coming up later in the year as well. And then, of course, the Eli Giants that we're wearing here in a couple weeks. So there's a variety of identities. There's a couple more Vuela de Nashville nights as well, a couple more Brewskis nights, so you can't miss it. But one of the things that we are doing this year is we're trying to educate. We're trying to pass out little cards to tell everybody about our identities. Because we don't want someone to come out and go, well, why are they wearing that, right? So, and we want them to understand the story behind it, because each identity has a connection to this city, has a connection to what we're doing here, and a reason why we're wearing it. And our players love it, our fans love it, and we've gotten great reaction.
That's great stuff. It's always fun when we get an opportunity to sit down with Adam English, the General Manager and Chief Operating Officer of the Nashville Sounds. Adam, appreciate you taking some time with us.
It's my pleasure, guys. Anytime. Love talking with you.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo, opening June 20th.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's David Wilson. And joining us now from Penalty Box Radio is Ann Kimmel. Talk a little hockey as the National Hockey League 2024-25 season ended a couple nights ago. And it wasn't 7 games, Ann, but still pretty exciting Stanley Cup final there. Between the Panthers and the Oilers. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Yeah, I thought this was one of the most exciting finals. Could have used one more game just for pure entertainment purposes, but what a great championship matchup we got to see in the NHL this season.
Yeah, 4 games. Florida wins at 4-2, but 3 of those games went to overtime, 1 to double OT. I mean, to not get 7 games, again, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that, does it?
It really doesn't. And I think games 5 and 6, where Florida really kind of dominated, maybe leaves people thinking this series wasn't as close as it was, but the matchup between these two teams just did not disappoint. Like you said, we had 3 games go to overtime. One of those 3 went to double overtime. You got a lot of quality hockey played by some of the top players in the league packed into these 6 games. And I don't think there is a hockey fan who is disappointed about the quality we got to see in that championship.
What do you feel like happened in those 3 games that weren't overtimes? Again, Florida with dominant victories to wrap it up. What clicked for Florida in particular in those 2?
I think Florida really came out ready to play from puck drop on. They scored the first goal in all but game 1. And I think they were really ready to play. In a couple of those games that Florida took the lead in, it took Edmonton a little bit of time to kind of get their sea legs in those games. And I think Florida has this ability to just wear a team down, not just physically, but I just think mentally they have an opportunity. I referred to it earlier today as hockey Chinese water torture. It's just drip after drip after drip until eventually you just wear down your opponent. And Florida has just an uncanny ability to do that, not just with physicality, not just with skill, not just with scoring, but I think just owning momentum in the game and capitalizing on mistakes. And I think in those 3 games where Florida, really kind of came out with the lead and dominated in those games, you saw their ability to hang on to momentum and really capitalize on it. So really a great showing from Florida in those games, but boy, Edmonton kept it interesting.
And it's tough to win a Stanley Cup. To win back-to-back like that, and then I watched some of the post-game trophy presentation and that kind of thing, and Gary Bettman kind of spoke to it a little bit. But to win back-to-back, and I didn't realize. I guess I just wasn't paying attention. But Tampa Bay did it in 20 and 21. But to win back-to-back just feels obviously like even more of an accomplishment, more of a grind, just being able to come back from having won it the first time and having the target on your back all 82 games plus the postseason, and to be able to do that successfully yet again really feels like it says something for that franchise.
I think it really does speak to not just the players that they have, but I think it speaks to the coaching staff. I think it speaks to the front office, because those 2 rosters are a little bit different, especially when it comes to some of the depth players. They made some changes on their roster and yet still were able to get this team back to a place where they battled through to win the Stanley Cup. And on the one hand, the benefit is what it takes to get there. On the other hand, what it takes to get there. How hard it's going to be. So I do think that it speaks to the talent on the team, but I think it also speaks to the coaching staff, to the training staff, to the equipment managers, to the front office, because it takes all of that to get a team to that point once, and to get a team back there a second time, I think is really amazing. I think Florida did some really great things to get themselves in the best position to be able to repeat.
And I'm gonna ask you a quirky / funny question on your sympathy radar. Do you feel more sorry for the state, I guess, Corey Perry, for the fact that he lost in the Stanley Cup Finals yet again for I think like the 4th year in a row, or the fact that Canada, with its renowned sport, losing to South Florida yet again?
I think, that is just tough all the way around. I'm going to be honest with you. I think poor Canada, especially the community of Edmonton, they are hurting. Edmonton came so close last season. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a huge Matthias Ekholm fan. He played here in Nashville and then was traded to Edmonton, one of my favorite players. I watched him lose last year, and when I realized that Florida was going to win it again, I turned the TV off for the last few seconds because I thought, I cannot watch Matthias Ekholm lose twice. So my heart goes out to Edmonton. Corey Perry, you want to talk about having a weight around your neck to get that close over and over and over again. And look, he was a player who really contributed in this run. He had 10 goals in this postseason for the Oilers, but to not get it done, that's going to keep you up at night in the offseason if you're Corey Perry.
You know,
Absolutely.
and
When it comes to the series, go ahead, Mo.
no, I was just going to say Ekholm didn't win, but Seth Jones did. The first
did.
Predators first round pick to lift the trophy, and obviously it didn't do it with the Preds, but a nice, and it's a nice family accomplishment there. His dad, Popeye, who is from Dresden, Tennessee, out in West Tennessee, played his college basketball at Murray State and was an assistant with the Nuggets in 23 when they won the NBA championship. The first family to claim both an NBA championship and a Stanley Cup championship.
That's amazing. I want to be in that man cave when they have all of their, trophies and their championship rings. That's the man cave you want to have. I love this for Seth Jones. This was a guy who Florida went out and picked up at the deadline. I don't know that people really thought that he was going to be a key player for Florida. And he came in, he played, minutes with Nico Mikkola for the defense in Florida and really stepped up for them. He had some goals. It was really good to see. I think maybe bittersweet for some Predators fans, but you have to like it when you see somebody working through the course of their career, ups and downs, being traded, and then to see him finally land in the right spot at the right time. So you do have to, kind of like that for Seth Jones.
Absolutely.
And there was a lot of conversation in the aftermath of this series about Connor McDavid, obviously renowned as one of the best hockey players in the world. Hasn't won a Stanley Cup yet. That's 2 years in a row that they fell in the finals. He would be the first to admit that he didn't play well in this series overall. I just believe he had 1 goal overall in the 6 games. How do you kind of evaluate him? And does he need to win a cup to kind of live up to that claim of being the best player in the world?
That is such a tricky question because I do think that Connor McDavid and skill and talent, I think he has a really good opportunity to be the best hockey player in the world, best hockey player perhaps in the sport, but you got to win the championships. Now, he's gotten real close 2 times, but I agree with you. This was not the series that Connor McDavid wanted to have. Like you mentioned, he had 1 goal in the finals. Last year in the finals, he had 3 goals, 11 points. So just a little bit of underperforming. The thing about Connor McDavid is he can do the work, but he also is an excellent diversion. And he's going to take defensive eyes on him no matter where he's at. And Florida was really able to manage Connor McDavid as an individual and manage any opportunities that his focus created for other players. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with McDavid. He has 1 more year left on his contract in Edmonton. You know that the Oilers are going to want to lock him up and have him be an Oiler for life. You know that he is the key, I think, for them to be able to come back and keep trying to get this Stanley Cup win. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. Will he go and play this season without a contract and sort of test the waters in Edmonton and see how the wind is blowing to decide whether he wants to stay there or not? I don't know. I do think watching Connor McDavid in this offseason, watching what the Oilers do and seeing when or if he decides to re-sign there, that's going to be one of the biggest stories, I think, in the NHL. If he were to opt to go somewhere else, I also think it's going to be interesting to see if he opts to stay in Edmonton, what kind of deal he makes. Is it going to be a team-friendly deal because he believes they're that close and they can do it? So I think Connor McDavid's performance, he's going to be very disappointed in it. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him over the next season and what's going to happen with him contractually as well.
And Kimmel of Penalty Box Radio and Locked On Predators joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And season ends. Predators turn their attention. I mean, they've probably had their attention turned to 25, 26 for a pretty good while. But yesterday made a move trading for former Predator, Erik Haula. What is your assessment of that move?
I think it's an interesting move by Barry Trotz, and I'm trying not to read too much into it. Of course, the Predators need some center depth, need some experience. Erik Haula is 34 years old. He has that experience, not just in the NHL, but like you mentioned, he played a season here in Nashville. They gave up a 4th round pick in the 2026 draft. They gave up a prospect who spent a lot of time in the ECHL, who's probably not going to get into the NHL via the Nashville Predators. So I don't know that this cost Nashville a lot. It makes me wonder if Barry Trotz is thinking this team just needs more time to cook some of the young players. We saw a lot of young players last season by necessity, whether it was injuries or trades. But I wonder if that kind of gave Barry Trotz pause and said, you know what we need? We need a little bit more veteran stability in the middle 6. And that may be why he went out and got Eric Halla. I think this is an okay move for people who are kind of stressing about what they gave away, because here's what's real. Eric Halla has a 1-year deal. It's $3.15 million. Come the trade deadline, if a team is close to making the postseason that is not Nashville, Nashville could probably flip Eric Halla at the deadline for a 4th round pick somewhere. So I don't think that this is like a high risk, high reward move. I don't think it's going to move the needle a ton for Nashville. I do think it maybe signals that Barry Trotz thinks, okay, some of these younger players may need a little bit more time or a little bit more veteran experience with them. So I think this is going to be an interesting move. I don't think it's going to be a long-term move. I don't think it's going to change the needle a ton, but it gives a little bit more veteran presence for the Preds.
34-year-old Eric Halla, again, played with the Preds in 2021, was the 7th round pick of the Wild back in 2009, and has played for Minnesota, New Jersey, Vegas, Boston, the Hurricanes, and the Panthers, in addition to his time here in Nashville. 10 playoff appearances in 12 seasons. So again, got some experience, got some postseason experience. I'm not sure that the latter necessarily impacts this franchise next year, but seems like a good piece to have. Just again, to your point, it feels like the Predators were trending younger, and so to see them go out and trade for a 34-year-old seems to be a little counter to what we expected.
I agree with that. I think when you see 34 years old and 3.15 million, you think, oh, are we doing that again? We just did that last season and we remember how that panned out. I do think this is just such a Band-Aid move. I think that it is just a short-term experienced player. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think, the fact that he has played in different places all over the league, he seems to be able to adjust to new systems, which is something that some of the last season's veterans that came in struggled to do. This may be something that bodes well for the Preds. He also is a little bit spicy. Now, I know that maybe didn't go great for Jonathan Marchessault, but I think on and off the ice, Eric Halla has a little bit of zhuzh to him. He is a very straight shooter when he talks. He also is very comfortable mixing it up on the ice. So I think there's a component of that Barry Trotz likes. But again, I just don't think this is like part of a long-term plan. I think this is a Band-Aid move that Barry Trotz thinks is going to help some of the younger players down the line.
I'm going to need you to say that again. He has a little bit of
hockey zhuzh.
Zhuzh. Okay.
Zhuzh,
right.
yes.
Like Halla aside, what do you feel like, other than the draft that's right around the corner, what do you feel like the Preds are trying to get done between now and training camp?
I think the most important thing that Barry Trotz has talked about, and I agree it is probably the top thing, is that he needs to go out and shore up the defense and mainly look for the right partner for Roman Josi. Roman Josi, of course, was injured towards the end of the season, but they really struggled to find the right player to play with him. And I think that's going to be the number one target. Now, I don't know that there are a ton of top quality defensive right shot defensemen to pair with Roman Josi in free agency. So this may involve a trade, but I think that's going to be the one thing you're going to see Barry Trotz spending a lot of time and energy finding. Probably going to be looking for some scoring pieces as well. I don't know that we're going to see Nashville do a ton of tinkering to the roster, but I do know that the priority for Trotz is going to be finding, a top pairing defenseman to play with Roman Josi and kind of shore up the defense. They need to see what they have defensively, but they know that they don't have the guy for Roman Josi. So that's going to be the most important thing that Barry Trotz is going to be doing this offseason.
It was reported earlier this week, speaking of Yossi, that he was diagnosed over the offseason with a heart condition, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, or POTS. Causes the heart to beat faster than normal when one transitions from sitting or lying down to standing up. Now, he missed the last 25 games this past year with a concussion, and concussions are said to maybe aggravate this condition, or it's a stressor that leads to POTS necessarily. What is the concern on the Predators' part with relation to this situation with Yossi?
The official word from Barry Trotz, the official word from the Nashville Predators organization, is that he has been undergoing treatment for this since the spring after the concussion injury, and that it's been very successful. And the word is that he is going to be ready to go and healthy for training camp. It's an interesting question. I think everybody is aware of Roman Jossi's concussion history. We know concussions are cumulative. And so I think that that's something that people are very cognizant of with him and wanting to make sure that that's something that doesn't happen again. I do think that this is something I would hate to speculate as far as whether he really is going to be 100% or not 100%.
Mhm.
There are treatments for this syndrome. And, according to the Predators, he's been undergoing treatment and they feel positive about it. I think it's something to keep an eye on. I don't know that for me personally, it raises any more alarm than I already had about just his concussion history, but you want to keep Roman Josi healthy. He is going to be key to any success the Predators have next season and, beyond that through the rest of his career. So it's just something to be really mindful of. And hopefully when we kick off training camp, we're going to see Josi healthy and back at 100%, but just something to be mindful of.
And the hockey world is going to descend on Los Angeles next week for the NHL draft, and the Preds are going to be front and center for the first round alongside the Philadelphia Flyers with 3 first-round picks on Friday night. So obviously the Preds have the 5th overall pick, and then they have 2 picks in the 20s. What do you feel like are some needs that they're going to try to hit on in the first round and try to address this roster and get the system better?
I think the most obvious thing the Predators have to do is they have to come away with a center with that number 5 pick. And fortunately, there are a number to choose from there that could fall to 5. One of the most interesting things that I think is going to happen at this draft is what's going to happen at number 3 and number 4 right before the Predators, because there is talk that maybe Utah might trade down. We're not 100% sure who Chicago and Utah at 3 and 4 are interested in picking. So we don't know for sure who is going to be available at 5. But I think that there are some great options that Nashville would be excited about. James Hagens played at Boston College. People are a little bit concerned that he may be a little undersized, but I think his, skill level, talent level really bodes well for the future. Anton Frondell is a large Swedish center that I think people are very interested to see. Caleb Desnoyers is a player from juniors who has been absolutely phenomenal. So there are great options at 5, and I think Nashville really has to take a center at 5. When you look at those picks in the 20s, I would personally love to see them take a hard look at a defenseman. I think that there are a couple of really good options for Nashville. A former Predator, Vern Fiddler, has a son, Blake Fiddler, who is a very large defenseman available. And so just personally and for the joy of the storyline, I would love to see them take a great look at Fiddler. There's also maybe some talk that the Predators could take a goaltender in the first round. So that is something to keep an eye on as well. So I think that there are some interesting options. I wouldn't be surprised to see them hit one of each of those in the first round this draft. But again, this is an interesting draft because you have kind of the 2 obvious picks at 1 and 2 in Matthew Schaefer and Michael Misa. And then it's a little bit of we're not sure what's going to be available. So I think this is going to be an exciting draft.
And the Predators pick at number 5, one pick behind the Utah Mammoth, formerly known as the Utah Hockey Club. They introduced their new name about 5 weeks ago, I guess. I don't know that we've spoken to you, but what do you think of the Mammoth relative to the Hockey Club?
You know, I was really pulling for the Utah Yeti. I'm not going to lie. I loved that idea, but, you know, trademark and all that.
Trademarks, yeah.
Trademarks and all that. Yeah, no, I like the Utah Mammoth. I will tell you this. I was a little confused because it is singular and there are multiple mammoths that have been found in Utah. So I feel like it's a bit of false advertising on Utah's part, but I like it. Their slogan is tusks up. I'm here for that. So I think it's going to be fun. They're also on ice. They're going to be a very interesting team this season to keep an eye on. They make me a little nervous.
I was kind of hoping they would stay with Hockey Club, to be honest. That's just being very generic with it. Maybe put some UHC codes or whatever on their jerseys. I don't know. I kind of liked Hockey Club, but Mammoth, I think Mammoth could kind of grow on me. But and Kimmel of Penalty Box Radio and Locked On Predators joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And we appreciate you hanging out with us for a little bit and look forward to catching up with you here soon.
That sounds great. Take care.
Thank you. Let's take a break. Let's get to the final segment of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We will jump into the grab bag. Stay tuned.
Being in Tennessee, we wanted to try to keep it as local as possible, so we have an entire section of our menu that is just dedicated to local whiskeys like Uncle Nearest, Jack Daniels, of course, George Dickel, Nelson Brothers, Greenbrier whiskey, and all of our taps are all local. From 2 o'clock until midnight, we've got food every day for you guys. A good handful of appetizers, some entrees, and a couple salads and things like that. My name is Ethan Kanata. Please come down and see us at the Pick Lobby Bar here at the Omni in Nashville.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
There's a line that links us all. Most of the time, we don't even think about it, but it's everywhere. Illuminating our neighborhoods, empowering our businesses, and helping us to recharge. Whether it comes from our grids, the sun, or a kind heart, we believe in the power of good energy. And as your family and region continue to grow, you can trust that we'll always be there for you. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
It's the final segment of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's David Wilson. I'm Maurice Patton. We're down to 2 teams at Omaha. Coastal Carolina, which had to battle its way. Did they host a regional to open? I cannot remember, but had to knock off host Auburn in the Supers to get to Omaha, and has been a juggernaut since. Defeated Louisville 11-3 last night to reach the best of 3 championship series. They will meet LSU, which had to down Arkansas for the second time over the past few days. And man, what a brutal loss for the Razorbacks there. Had 2 chances to win that ball game in the bottom of the 9th. Couldn't come through on either of them. And LSU walks it off 6-5. Brutal loss for Dave Van Horn and the Razorbacks there, as they were going for their first baseball national championship. So instead, it'll be LSU and Coastal Carolina getting started on Saturday. Game 1 is a 6:00 start on Saturday. They will play at 1:30 on Sunday, and then the if necessary game will be at 6:30 on Monday evening. But Coastal, again, they won their regional in Conway before going over to Auburn as the number 13 seed. That's right, beating the number 4 seed Auburn in Auburn to advance. Beat them in 2 games. Coastal Carolina has won their last 26 ball games, I do believe. They've not lost since, I think it was April 22nd. I mean, that's not.
They feel like a team of destiny.
Yeah, I mean, those aren't LSU Shreveport numbers, but still, 26 straight in Division One, and half of those coming in postseason play. It's pretty solid.
And it's a program that's won a national championship before, won it within the last decade, I believe. So they've been there and they've done that. Yeah, they've done that before. So it should be a really good series. Obviously, this LSU team is really strong as well. They have the presumptive number 1 pick, probably going to toe the rubber in game 1, and their left-hander, Kate Anderson. So it's going to be a really good series. Looking forward to it. You kind of mentioned Arkansas. I have to feel for Dave Van Horn. They have lost some heartbreakers in Omaha. We can remember that game years ago against Oregon State where, it's a fly ball down the line, and if they catch it, they're going to win the national championship. Miscommunication between the second baseman and the outfielder. It falls in foul territory. Oregon State comes back and wins that series. And then last night, had opportunities in that 9th inning to close it out and force an if necessary game. They couldn't do it. So I feel for Arkansas and Dave Van Horn. I know Tennessee fans are probably happy and thrilled that they're out of it. You're not saying anything, so I guess you're in that boat as well.
No, I mean, I feel bad. I feel bad for Arkansas, but I do know a lot of Tennessee fans that have no sympathy for the Razorbacks at all. But yeah, I feel bad. Like you said, it feels like Arkansas has been a national championship caliber program for a long time, and they've just never been able to seal the deal for whatever reason. Again, the Oregon State situation back in 2018, and then last night, that was just, you had a double play ball with runners at second and third, and 1 out, I think it was. Yeah, double play ball to shortstop that would have won it right there. He gets the lead runner at third. The next batter hits a ball to left field that the freshman slips on and is unable to catch, and that falls for a double, scores a run, and then they walk it off. I mean, you talk about Coastal Carolina maybe being a team of destiny. It almost feels like Arkansas is whatever the opposite of destiny is. It's maybe they're cursed. I don't know, but that was a tough way to lose a ball game right there for sure. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this championship series between LSU and Coastal Carolina that gets started up on Saturday afternoon. Should be a lot of fun. Again, you've got a couple of teams with some tradition. LSU has won, I think, 7 championships, but their last game 2 years ago in 2023, Coastal won it in 2016. Since Coastal won it in 2016, 6 of the last 7 national champions have come from the Southeastern Conference, starting with Florida defeating LSU in 17, Oregon State defeating Arkansas in 18, as you mentioned. Vanderbilt wins it in 19. They defeated Michigan. Then after the 2020 tournament obviously did not take place due to COVID, it was Mississippi State, Ole Miss, LSU, and Tennessee last year. So again, 6 of your last 7 national champions have come from the Southeastern Conference. And since Coastal won it in 2016, 1, 2, 3, 4 of your championship series have been all SEC matchups.
Right. And I'll tell you this, it's neutral site really quickly, Mo, but it will feel like a home series for LSU. Their fans travel in droves to Omaha, and they'll be out and in full force. So I know it's neutral site, but it will feel and sound like a home game at the box at LSU.
Got to get a quick update. here. If you go to the website, the Twitter account at CWS Shot Board, you can get an update on Rocco's College World Series Shot Challenge. And as of 3 hours ago, Arkansas was number 2 on the board with 8,713 shots purchased, just ahead of Murray State with 8,060. But again,
who's number 1?
LSU,
Go ahead and say it.
LSU might lose a game, but they ain't never lost a party. 25,061. LSU winning the Jello Shot Challenge at Rocco's, going away. And you know, with at least 2 more games to play and a couple of off days, there's no telling what they'll do with that number. So you could be talking 35, maybe 40,000 shots. Again, you can follow that on Twitter at CWS Shot Board. So it's always fun. NBA Finals could finish up tonight in Indianapolis as the Thunder takes a 3-2 lead into this matchup in Game 6 against the Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton intends to play with that right calf strain, so then it becomes a case of just how effective can he be with that right calf strain. But they need him, and they need him to certainly be better than he was in Game 5 when he managed just 4 points in that loss in OKC.
You think they're going to give it their best shot? Obviously, they don't want to lose the series and have them wheel out the Larry O'Brien trophy on their home court. So you expect to see the best shot of Indiana tonight. I said Pascal Siakam. That's a name I've heard. Obviously, he's had some finals experience with Toronto. He's a champion. I would expect him to have a good game tonight to try to wheel him back to Oklahoma City.
Well, he's certainly going to need to. They're going to have to be really all hands on deck, again, especially with Halliburton's situation being what it is. I'm interested to see what Aaron Nesmith is able to give them, and Obi Toppin as well. Couple of, you know, kind of undersung guys to some degree, but they have really been a kind of a team approach, kind of an X factor kind of thing. And so it'll be interesting, I think, to see who, if anybody, does step up and give Halliburton a little support or take over for the obviously less than 100% Halliburton in this ball game to force it back to OKC if possible. Little NFL news as we close things out. Baltimore linebacker C.J. Mosley, 5-time Pro Bowl selection, has retired. And I don't know how, you know, from a timing standpoint, a team gets ready to lose that type of talent in June as you step away from minicamp. You are stepping into a break before you get ready for preseason practice and that kind of thing. But Mosley, a 10-year NFL veteran, first rounder in the 2014 draft, again, has announced his retirement. And 10 years at that position is pretty solid, but I'm sure Baltimore kind of had some hopes for him this time around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello?
I got you.
Oh, I thought you were saying something and I didn't catch it. Again, C.J. Mosley announces his retirement in an Instagram post earlier today. So spent some time with the Jets as well as Baltimore.
Can you hear the music, Mo? We're ready to go.
I'm sorry?
It's time to go.
Oh, sorry. Go.